Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us on the 414 Live Variety Hour. I know you guys were going to come into the studio. I have Brown's Crew here with me, Song of the Year winners at the 88.9 Music Awards and Emerging Artist of the Year at Summerfest. It's the incredible Brown's Crew. Thanks so much.
Hey, thanks for having us, Aisha. We excited.
Where are you guys joining me from?
I'm home. We actually were just talking about this. I actually skipped Ayuda Mutua today and to be somewhere quiet and be able to do this. So I'm in the comfort of my home, but I was thinking about doing it from there, but it might have been too busy.
That's awesome though. That's something that you do. And I know you're in your backyard, right, Cristo?
I'm just sitting here on the porch, enjoying the shade.
So nice. It's so convenient. So I'm glad you guys can join me in the comfort of where you are. So just talking about like your credentials just now, like 2019 was incredible. It was such a high for you. And I know you had big plans for 2020. What has it been like adjusting to this new climate in the city?
I think we had talked, just kind of want to open this conversation and acknowledging as you talk about like this new climate, everything that's going on in Kenosha with the shooting of Jacob Blake and hoping for his recovery and his family and justice. So we did just want to start with that statement. But I think that's also reflective of, a lot of why we've been quiet in terms of putting out music. Initially it was kind of like everything going on with COVID-19 and the pandemic. We had some big shows lined up, including a Bucks game. Shout out to them for striking. We had a show planned for being with y'all in the studio, as you mentioned. And so we're just kind of like, we'll just kind of take this break with the quarantine. And then as the uprisings came in May, we had just released Autonomia right before that, which actually speaks about police brutality and corruption within government. So it was kind of strange that came right in that time. But then after that, decided like we need to be conscious of the fact that we are in a Black genre, and everything that's going on right now, the music that we had scheduled to go out wasn't necessarily relevant to what's going on. And maybe it doesn't have to be, right? But if that's the case, we need to create space for the Black artists to have their voices elevated.
Yeah, I think that's really important. You kind of touch on a lot of questions that I had just all in that statement, because I know that it's important for both of you guys to have hard conversations in your music and in what you do. And it's important for the world right now to have those hard conversations. So in that respect, in this time of kind of, leaving space for people, have you started to kind of think about that and create music in that vein that might be up and coming when the space is right for you?
Yeah, I mean, speaking for myself, creators are going to create, whether it's shared content or not. I mean, I have stuff that I probably will never share, but there's definitely been times where, we're plugging into different areas of our hoods in ways that we can help in our capacity. So I haven't been as diligent in working in the beginning of the uprisings on music, just because my attention, my focus, my energy was going elsewhere. And by choice, right? Like that was a choice I actively made, and and I'm happy with that choice. But creation is something that we're always doing. And I wrapped up, about 2 or 3 songs this past weekend. Shout out to AQ in Chicago. I was able to get some things done down there, and they're in the vault. I'm in no rush to share right now the space. Like I said, my mind and my energy is directed towards other areas right now that I feel are more important, but that doesn't mean that we're not creating. So definitely have some stuff that I'm very, very excited to share, really eager to share, but also being very conscientious in how we're moving and what it is that I'm sharing and why am I sharing it. Right. And so, also trying to take inspiration from all this madness, right? Like our music already touches on those things, but really being reflective on what's going on. And, art and revolutions or art and movements go hand in hand. So what role are we playing? Right. And so just keeping that in mind in the creation process for myself.
Yeah, and your identity is in your music, which is something I want to ask. I love to ask this question. And with you two, I don't actually know the answer of your origin story of like how you met as both, you're both Mexican American. You do bilingual, you do both languages in your music, which is unique and I think important and something that I really appreciate. So I just wanted to know how you guys did come together in the first place and why you chose to keep both languages in your music and the Caribbean sound. I love this unique flavor, so I want to know it all.
For sure. You want to talk about Oaxaca real quick, Chris? I mean, that's really the roots.
Yeah, I mean, I've known Step Outs forever, almost since middle school through high school. But Brown's crew really came out of a trip we took to Oaxaca. Up until that point,
Where's Oaxaca for the people that don't know, Chris?
Oaxaca, Mexico, southern Mexico, one of the most eco-diverse regions, one of the highest concentrations of indigenous people in Mexico. And so we went to go work with some friends down there to do documentaries involved with the teacher movement. The concept of autonomia even came from our experience in that trip. I think up until that point, we had just been kind of freestyling at parties and it was all cool. And when we would show up, people were like, oh, it's, my friends, they rap and this and that. And we were kind of like, well, let's do something. Sebas was the one that I think that really pushed me to be like, let's start recording. Let's come up with a name. And we had a few, and some of them were corny and some of them were tight. And maybe people think Brown's Crew is corny. I don't know, but that's the one that just felt right. It stuck. Yeah. Even recently, we thought about, rebranding right before we kind of came out of a slumber, before we dropped Militis and all of that. We talked about maybe rebranding, and Brown's Crew is just feels right, and I think people really mess with it. So
I like it a lot.
Just to add to that real quick too, I feel like including those things in our music too, like it's just like with everything, in order to know where you at and where you going, you got to know where that's coming from, right? So just like recognizing too, like that we're examples of the diaspora and that we're trying to tell our stories, right, and not have them told for us. And so just trying to like create with that in mind. So
yeah, and that's something I kind of wanted to touch on too, is I know that I think I saw something recently that pre-pandemic you were telling stories and narratives to the youth out there. Can you talk to that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that isn't the first, like, I guess, like youth engagement kind of like talk that we've done. It's something that we've done even pre-Brown's Crew. And, again, speaking for myself, I don't want to put words in Cristo's mouth. But I know that we're both really enjoy working with youth, especially in our community, especially youth of color. And so anytime we get an opportunity like that to just like connect with students, just to chop it up. It's not even like look at us, we're doing this and doing that, or check out our new hit single. It's literally like, hey, like how's school here? Like, what do you do for fun? Like, are you interested in like music, sports, dance, theater, or you like to read? Just connecting with students and really like just connecting, like straight up, just connecting. And I don't want to use the word mentoring, right? Because that's a little bit more in depth, but it really is just like, think about adult relationships, right? It's a give and a take kind of transactional. So like making sure that we get a lot from these interactions as well, whether it be energy or affirmations or like learning how to better do things as well when it comes to connecting with young people. And so we just really enjoy being able to plug into those spaces and empower young people as best as we can, right, through our storytelling and just through giving them that positive affirmation of how great and powerful they really are, because they oftentimes don't hear that enough, whether it be in their school environment, at home, maybe, especially on the media and television and things like that. So just trying to reinforce that greatness that they already have within.
I think quick note to add to that, it kind of something I forgot to mention on the last question in terms of like the storytelling and why we choose to infuse English and Spanish and these influences. We grew up speaking English and Spanish and Spanglish in some cases. We would kind of go back and forth. Should this song be completely in English? Should this song be completely in Spanish? So we have some that are either or. But I think, there's always been nods to mixing the two. And I think that that's something that a lot of the youth can relate to, kind of being in between these different worlds.
Absolutely. Well, before we leave you, I want to know, how can our Radio Milwaukee listeners support you?
I got a couple ideas. I mean, they can support us by just, anytime if there's something that we do or that we create, giving feedback is always welcome. Checking us out on any social media platform, obviously. But something I think even greater that they could do to support us is recognizing that Black Lives Matter, and a call to action for the cop murderers who killed Breonna Taylor, Elijah McClain, paralyzed Jacob Blake, and the list goes on, right? And so I guess they could help us out by a call to action. So if you got a paper and pen real quick, calling the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Wisconsin. You can call them at 414-297-1700 and demand the immediate release of protesters and protectors who are being detained by federal agents. And also a call to Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers at 608-888-1665 and demand that he remove the National Guard and the feds from Wisconsin. So that's a way that you can help us out, get that word out. That music stuff and all that, we'll get to that. We'll get to that soon.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having the hard conversations with us here and joining us on 414 Live Variety Hour.